Right, so not too long ago, I was on the Lost Media Wiki. It's mainly a site that documents missing content, from movies to TV shows to even games. I usually visit the site on a regular basis to see if any new articles have been added, or even more excitingly, if anything's been found. But one day, after randomly clicking around, I stumbled upon an article for a previous Lost show that I immediately recognised. And that show was Chute. It was a short-lived TV series that aired back in 2007 on the CBBC channel, only having 1 season and 13 episodes. So what was Chute about? Well, it was about some guy called Ross.
Nice to meet you. My name's Ross.
That was stuck down the BBC garbage chute, filled with old VHS tapes, mainly consisting of old BBC programmes, and in each episode he would mainly spend his time and watch some of the tapes and, well, honestly, that was about it. There was really nothing more to the programme. Well, okay, that's a little bit of a white lie. He would sometimes encounter some of the other stars from the CBBC channel.
Oh, they threw us down here ages ago.
As they just randomly turn up and then just as quickly make their exit out of the chute. Meanwhile, leaving poor Ross back on his own, still being trapped down that chute. Well, that's mean of them. How can they never go back to get him? Well, if Ross got out of that chute, then, well, there wouldn't be a good reason to carry on the series. Okay, so the show didn't really have too much going for it. All it really was just a random clip show. This was just fluff to fill up the time slot. This would have been a really cheap program to produce, because we're always in one location, and even the props like the videotapes were probably all going to be binned anyway, given how at this point in time, DVDs pretty much took over the home media market. So who really needed those old VHS tapes anymore? And even the way that the series was shot was all filmed from the point of view from the poor soul that got stuck down the chute with Ross as well.
We'll have this sorted out in no time.
Meaning that every time that we cut back to Ross and whoever else would be down the chute with him, we'd all be shot in one take. I wouldn't be surprised if each episode was filmed within less than an afternoon, and also most of the clips that were shown within the series was mainly stock footage from the BBC archive, or any online internet video that was popular at the time. So yeah, this series was cheap to make, it was short-lived, and hardly anybody ever remembers this series ever being on at all. But there are 2 significant things about this series that should be worth noting. The first thing was when CBBC rebranded itself back in 2007, this was one of the very first shows that aired on the new block. And Chute marks the first TV broadcast of the YouTube video Potter Puppet Pals, The Ticking Noise. Okay, they're not majorly significant notes, but hey, still counts for something, right? And that last note I just mentioned about the Potter video was actually the very first time I ever saw that video. And as a kid...
Harry, Snape, Harry, Snape, Harry, Snape, Harry, Snape, Harry, Harry,
I found it questionably disturbing. Maybe I was a wuss back then. But, on that note, there is actually another reason why I want to talk about the series in particular, the way that each episode would end. Alright, so everything seems to be pretty mediocre and standard for a random clip show for kids. Until this thing pops up. What's that? What's it doing there?
What a corker.
Oh my god, we're getting dragged down underneath! No, don't like this, no. And Ross? He thought we were off! He wouldn't help! He was oblivious to the dangers around him! And then, by the very end of the credits, we hear a burp. So I guess that implies that the monster's eaten the person, meaning that person is dead. That person's dead. We've just died. And I remember this airing near to the end of the programme day of CBBC, meaning that this programme would have been one of the last things I saw that day before going to bed. And the way each episode would end definitely didn't give me any nightmare fuel whatsoever. Guess what? I had a lot of blinking nightmares because of this ending. I used to dream about being stuck in a room with no windows, no doors, no way to get out, and something dragging me down, just like the very end of each episode of Chute. Right, well, thankfully for all of us, all the episodes of Chute have finally been found, meaning that this terrible CGI monster will live on forever throughout the roams of the internet. Sweet dreams, everyone.